Welcome back to the Deep Dig of Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew, with my other host over there.
What's up? It's D.
Yep, we're back again this week talking about the 49ers' devastating loss to Russell Wilson and the Let's Ride Denver Broncos. What were your immediate thoughts after that game?
Danger Russ did not look like Danger Russ. I mean, it's very disappointing. We lost to a Russell Wilson that he looks to be, dare I say it, on his last legs. Like, he doesn't look too good. I mean, the defense, our San Francisco 49er defense, looked amazing. And we only held them to 9 points. And then another 2 points came from safeties. That's a whole nother story. But this just like, it's so bitter, like the disappointment, because this was a team this was a game we should have won. This is a team we should have put away, and it just didn't happen. And so it's very concerning moving forward when we're going to actually play legitimate contenders. What are we going to look like? You know? And so it just makes you think, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, just watching this game, I was thinking to myself, wow, Russ looks bad. He looks slow, out of shape, not the same guy. And he wasn't that much worse than Jimmy G, but that's what you get from this team, I guess. Jimmy is the guy moving forward, and I said multiple times in this podcast, I don't want to see another season, a full season of Jimmy G as our quarterback, but we're here. We know what we're going to get from the guy, and we're going to get performances like that. And I don't think it's all on him. Watching that game, I think Kyle made some bad decisions. The play calling was, we could get into the play calling a little later, but I was not happy with that. The defense is amazing. This is a generational defense, I think. Ufunga is a dog. This guy is going to for sure make Pro Bowl, I think, this year. And Fred Warner is obviously always going to be amazing. Nick Bosa looks dominant. Drake Jackson is getting going. So watching the game, yeah, it was a tough one to get through because so slow. I feel like it was just every offense on the field was just not working, and who is going to make the first mistake that lets the other defense win kind of thing. And Jimmy did make that mistake, but
multiple times.
I'm worried going forward in the season. I don't know where my panic meter's at, but it's pretty high because the first three games of the season, we just played probably three of the worst teams in the league, if not three of the worst teams on our schedule. With the Seahawks, okay, we know they're going to be bad. They only won the first game because that was their Super Bowl against the Broncos and Russell Wilson. But we beat them. We lose to the Broncos, who their head coach was a fucking joke, like all season. This is a guy getting memed hard. He had to hire another coach to help him this week. And we lost to that guy with Kyle Shanahan. And then in the first week, we lost to the Bears. And look at how the Bears played this week. Justin Fields can't throw.
They won the game. So he's doing something.
Everything that people said about Trey Lance could be said about Justin Fields, but that's just my opinion. I've seen enough from Justin. But three of the worst teams in the league, I'd say, and we 1-2 right off the bat. Where do we improve from here? I don't see a lot of improvement. Where do we go from here? Could get ugly, but I guess we'll get into more of that later. There was a lot of injuries in this game. How do you see that affecting us immediately and going forward?
I mean, it's tough. You know what I mean? Trent WIlliams, probably our best player, gone 6 to 8 weeks, high ankle sprain. Elijah Mitchell, who was our best running back, is out. Azeez Al-Shaair is going to be out for a foreseeable future. Jimmy Ward's already been out. I think he's going to miss 1 or 2 more games. George Kittle, who knows, because he's just a hit and miss guy. Is he going to stay healthy the rest of the season? Would you bet on that? I wouldn't. And then moving forward, like, okay, who's going to fill this role? The O-line wasn't looking great to begin with. And then they, trotted out more and more got beat, and you didn't see him on the field, since then. They were holding out Colton McKivitz, but it's it's very concerning because this is just a team that's known this is what happens for the 49ers. The 49ers lose one guy, five more are going to be right there with him. So even almost Deebo Samuel almost got injured this game. He left the game and came right back, and they were still running him. So I don't know what it is. Maybe there's something in the Santa Clara water, but yeah, injuries just seem to follow this team.
Yeah, that's been the story of this team. And championship teams, there is a big matter of luck. Like if you look at the Warriors, who when they won their championship last, almost everyone was healthy throughout that run, and you kind of have to have that within the star, at least the star players of your team in a football team is they need to stay healthy. And sometimes things just like freak injuries happen, but it seems to happen more and more with this 49ers team. And when you have superstars on your team that are injury prone and you pay these guys, and those are the guys that you rely on week in, week out, there's going to be years where everything falls into place and you go to the MSU championship game. And there's going to be years where everyone goes down. And is your draft picks, your practice squad guys, are all those guys good enough to get you over the hump and keep you in relevancy? And I think what we've seen from the 49ers is if a couple guys go down, they don't have enough juice to keep winning. But they've kind of rolled the dice on this. Like they've paid these superstars or star players who are injury prone, like a Deebo, Kittle, Jimmy Ward he's never been fully healthy his whole career. Even Bosa got dinged up. Eric Armstead is out. Kinlaw is an injury guy. You just go down the list. There's a lot of injury. I don't say Trent Williams is a guy that's injury prone, but here we are. He's hurt now. That's where we are at this point. So that just worries me. And this is going to be a lost season with another Kyle excuse of, well, if all my guys didn't get hurt, we would have did better.
But it's also okay, you hit it kind of nail on the head. Like you have to draft young players to make sure to make up for that deficit if you do have, something happen. And they just haven't drafted well as far as the earlier rounds. They just cut that. Who's the running back? Trey Sermon, who was a third-round pick.
Wait, you mean the star of training camp?
Yeah,
Trey Sermon?
He was probably our best player. Dante Pettis, Reuben Foster, Solomon Thomas, all of these picks come back to bite you in the ass because they're not playing for you anymore. These guys do not play for this team anymore. And look at the draft capital that you gave up for them. All of that shit matters. Just like in this game, hey, surprise, a game happened and there was mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake, and it all added up to a loss. The same thing happened with their drafting previously. And so, yeah, I mean, it is concerning when you have these injuries to your top guys. I mean, it happens with every team, but it just seems to happen more with these 49ers. And I mean, moving forward, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and in this game, we obviously went in without Eric Armstead, Jimmy Ward. Kittle
played.
He played, but he was obviously limited. And obviously we went in with our backup quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo. So we did have some injuries going in, but they were dinged up on their side also. Like Jerry Jeudy played injured. Patrick Surtain was injured. He played. So those are two key guys on their team.
It was a slow plodding game. What were your thoughts on it? I know we're both super disappointed, but let's get into this game.
This was one of the most frustrating games I've ever had to watch. Because I was having such a good day, man. I won 4 out of 5 of my bets in the morning. I was winning big that day. So I already had some money down on the 49ers. So I quadrupled down. I put so much more money on the Niners to win. And watching that game, I was like, easy. The Broncos don't look good still. Hackett is a joke. We're not great right now on offense, but with the mind of Kyle Shanahan and the talent of our offense, surely we could beat this team easily, right? And man, how I was disappointed. It was tough to watch our quarterback step back out of the end zone and then throw a pick six. It was giving me major flashes of Rams playoff game where he's like spinning and throws it and interception pick six to win the game. Yeah, and that's just what we're gonna have with Jimmy. That's what I fully expect. I didn't want to watch another season of that, but here we are. And how long until it's Brock Purdy time? Because the fans on Twitter are already calling for it.
This is the quarterback play that you all deserve. You deserve this. You called for Jimmy G. You wanted Jimmy G. You got Jimmy G. This is the Jimmy G experience. We both knew this is what's going to happen. There was going to be ups with Jimmy, which we experienced last week, and there was downs with Jimmy, which we experienced this week. So y'all motherfuckers asked for this. Like, this is on you.
And what I don't like from the narrative of like the national media, I watched a lot of it today, where they're like, yeah, well, Jimmy G just has to learn from these mistakes and clean it up. And we're like, no shit, bro. We've been watching this for years and he's not going to learn. Like, he's not a rookie. This is the difference between him and Trey Lance. Trey Lance, maybe he would have made some of those plays. Maybe he would have threw some interceptions. But then you can look at him and say, he's a 22-year-old guy. He's going to learn. And he has the opportunity to get better. Jimmy is a veteran. This is who he is. He's not going to learn from these mistakes. This is just what he does. And for the national media to be like, oh, well, Jimmy took him to NFC Championship, so obviously he's a great quarterback. He can throw the ball. And then watch that game and be like, yeah, maybe he can just like do better. It's like, fuck you, dude. Like, this is what Jimmy is. He makes mistakes. And we've watched it constantly. And that's why Kyle didn't want him back. But I don't know. I just think it's funny how the national media who doesn't watch every game is just like, they have a certain picture of Jimmy being a good quarterback. And then he has a bad game. And some people are just like, yeah, he just has to tighten it up.
And it's like, okay, the excuse is like, oh, well, he didn't have the playbook. He hasn't practiced with the team. Again, he's been on this team for years. He's had this playbook before. You know, he's played with these guys multiple times. So there's no excuses here. Like, it was just bad quarterback play. But also, it was just bad play calling on Kyle Shanahan's part. I just felt like there was no rhythm whatsoever to any of these play callings. Like, usually with Kyle's offense, it's you run a basic play and then you build off that play. And then there's like 4 or 5 variations that you can throw in there. And it feels distinct. Like, oh man, like Kyle's on a good one. And you've seen it with the run with Jeff Wilson Jr. Like, okay, we're cooking now. Now things are looking pretty good. But they just didn't build off the momentum. And it just felt like he was throwing out random plays. And it just felt very like, yeah, fuck it. Do you want to call this one? Like, you know, in the preseason when Cardinals had Kyler Murray calling plays, that's what it almost felt like. Like, Jimmy, do you want to call this? And it just felt very unconnected and very like,
do you think it was
not in rhythm?
Lazy play calling from Kyle's end, or more of he didn't have a great game plan going in and he could just got away from the run?
Well, what's weird to me is going in, I heard that he had interviewed and said, hey, like, I have a full package for Marlon Mack. Like, these are the things that we're going to run with him. Marlon Mack didn't see the fucking field, bro. Jordan Mason got 1 carry and he actually looked pretty good on that carry. I felt like they should have hammered the run a lot more than they actually did. And maybe it's because Kyle just doesn't feel comfortable with like guys that are new into his system. But
sorry to cut you off, but before we lose that fucking point, that's the thing with Kyle Shanahan, bro. I'm gonna slap you like Kyler got slapped. But here's the thing with Kyle is he doesn't trust guys that aren't his guys. It takes him forever. He can make the package for Marlon Mack. He can fucking draw plays up for Trey Lance on the plane home. But is he going to use that in game time? No, he's going to stick with Jimmy G and Deebo Samuel. Like, remember last year when he had all of these like run packages, these Trey Lance subbing in for Jimmy G, and then he just never did it.
Yeah.
Like, the guy, he is the Drake of NFL head coaches. He has trust issues. I'm telling you, he's never going to switch it up. He's never going to trust like something crazy, like giving a backup running back 10 plays in a row, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just poor play calling. So I want to give a good portion of this loss to Kyle Shanahan. But at the same time, as I talk through Jimmy G's like, okay, he fumbled. He missed Debo twice. One was in a wide open end, like just walk into the end zone touchdown, and he didn't even throw it his way. He didn't look his way. And the other one was also that wheel route where he would have walked into the end zone if he had let him a little bit. Didn't do it. He trots out the back of the end zone for the safety, which we end up losing by 1 point. Guess what? A safety's 2. On that play, he throws the pick 6, but it's wiped because he stepped out of the end zone. It's just all of these things, and it's like, okay, well, a good portion of this loss has to go on Jimmy G. He just looked terrible.
That's the thing with, so you have a championship level roster. You have a team that wants to compete for a playoff spot. You get a veteran quarterback, and you expect, hey, this veteran should know like not to make certain mistakes and just play clean football, and that should be enough to win us game. But that's not what we're getting from this veteran quarterback. Like, all we ask of him is just don't make mistakes that will lose us the game. That's it.
Yeah.
And he can't do that. And that's the reason I didn't want Jimmy G to still be here. I would have rather just bottomed out with Brock Purdy. At least Brock Purdy, I would have been like, this guy, I like this guy's attitude. Let's see what he can do. He's a rookie, whatever.
He's a real go-getter. He's a hard hat.
He's a gym rat.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I mean, we're digging ourselves a hole here that it's going to be tough to climb out of by the end of the season. When you look at the end of the season schedule now, it's getting harder and harder with the Dolphins. Before the season, I looked at the game like, oh yeah, we should be able to beat the Dolphins with Tua. But now the schedule's looking a little tougher over there. I don't know about that. The Cardinals, they're going to pull it together. They always play well against us. We got to see them twice still. We got to see the Rams twice. We got to see the Seahawks again. I'm not really scared of them, but who knows with Jimmy G? You know, he could throw a couple pick sixes and we're losing that game. The Saints, I don't know how we're going to do against them. I feel good about the Panthers game, but can you even like look at this 49ers team anymore and say like, oh yeah, that's a win? Like, can you guarantee any win?
No, I mean, I'm so conflicted because the team is so talented, but it starting off this way does have me concerned moving forward for the rest of the season. These were 2 losses where you should have won. You almost guaranteed a win. You were like your defense was playing so lights out. All you needed to do was score a couple of extra points, and you would have had it. You would be 3-0 right now, feeling really good. Hey, we had some hiccups, we've had some ups and downs, but those are still dubs. Now it's like, okay, you're going to play the Rams twice. You're going to play the Cardinals twice. You're going to play the Washington Commanders on Christmas Eve. That's going to be a weird game. You're going to have Vegas. The Saints, the Vegas Raiders, who even knows what they're going to be doing at that point. They might just be like a write-off joke, or they might be, hey, we need to surge back and we need to win every single game moving forward at a certain point because we have playoff hopes. So it's just going to be a crapshoot. And we knew going into this, like, that we're going to have to start off on a good note because as you move through the schedule is going to get harder. But it just hasn't happened. So, like, yes, I'm concerned about the rest of the season. What about you?
It could get pretty bad. Like, yeah, we went through that season where how much games did we win with Kyle when Jimmy went down? Like 4 games, 5 games?
Yeah.
Some low, and then we had a high draft pick for Bosa. I don't think it could get that level of ugly since we already do have a win under our belt. I think the Panthers, it should be a lock that week. Hopefully it's a lock win right there. And then the Seahawks again, that's 3 wins right off the top of my head, not on the schedule in front of me. But I am worried that it could be like a 6-win season with this roster, this special defense, because we just don't have anything going for every game. This defense needs to be perfect now. And then on top of the defense being perfect, we need at least like 2 or 3 huge plays from Debo Samuel.
Yeah,
And
and
that's not
it's not
a great recipe.
and it's unfair to like put that on Debo, but now he is like what you have with Jimmy G and the even now with Trent Williams out, the offensive line looks terrible. Like, let's just go ahead and say that. Like the center looks bad. Colton McKivitz like is not Trent Williams.
McGlinchey looks
McGlinchey on
little.
the other side is just like
There's a little
he's like
guy.
me and you standing back there. Like, bro, it does not look good. Aaron Banks looked better than I thought. Hey, that's cool.
If anything is a standout, the only things that look good in that game were Buford, Banks, our defense, and Kyle Shanahan's hat.
Hey, I mean, Burford had he had some penalties. He looks pretty shaky at sometimes, but also
He's a young guy.
yeah, like he's a rookie. I'm not really tripping about that.
Did you see Kyle Shanahan's hat?
Yeah, but
That shit is fresh. That's a nice hat. I got to get that.
but yeah, I mean, moving forward, like every team that you're supposed to beat, you're gonna have to beat, and then you're gonna have to pull some games out of your ass now. Like we're already to that point because you dropped these easy games, because you're at a deficit. Now you have to like, okay, we're going to have to scrounge up for some change to pay this bill at the end of the season. Are we going to have enough left to make a really good playoff push?
The thing they have going for them too is the NFC looks pretty weak around the middle of this year, I'd say. There's a lot of teams that are going to go 7 or 8 wins. And a lot of teams, they're going to be around that 9-10 win range that maybe you could sneak in the wild card with the 9-win season this year. But it's going to be tough either way because there's going to be have to like certain tiebreakers, certain teams you're going to have to beat. Like the Saints game is going to be huge for us. Potentially the Panthers. I don't really give the Panthers too much credit, but the Bucks game could be huge depending on like how they're shaking out because they just lost. Their offense is still struggling. They could lose a couple games here and then be fighting for a wild card spot. So
that Cardinals Mexico City game is going to be huge.
Yeah, not even getting into our inner division games. So every game will be crucial going forward. And I don't hit full 10 on the Patty Mirror because we are 1-2. We're not 0-3. We're not the Raiders. Okay, we're not the Raiders.
Nobody's the Raiders right now. They're the
get that right off the bat
with no win. It's their only team with 3 losses. Yeah,
0-3. So at least we have that going for us. We are not the Raiders, and who knows? We go out there, pull some Shanahan magic with Jimmy G, and win the Rams game. We're back in business. We're in first place in our division.
Yeah. And how like weird is it? Like parallels, in the universe that at this point in the season we feel like it's a must-win game, and it just happens to be against the Rams. Like just like last year, where it was like, hey, you need to put your nuts on the table. You need to win this game to save your season. It almost feels like that type of game going into LA. Or is it in LA or is it at Levi's? Sure. Either way, it's going to be, you know what I mean, a huge game. So, like, can Kyle Shanahan pull it out again?
All right. And now let's go on. I want to kind of evaluate Kyle Shanahan a bit because this is what, year 6? Year 6,
I believe.
He's went to the Super Bowl. He's went to NFC Championship game. He's had a lot of bad years. Are we? I don't want to say is Kyle Shanahan supposed to be on the hot seat, but like, are we giving him a fair evaluation by just like assuming that he's this amazing head coach that we shouldn't be questioning, or do we need to pry a little bit further into like this guy is struggling a little bit? How much benefit of the doubt do we give him?
I mean, if you're going to be up there with the top guys, Reed, McVay, Belichick, like you're going to be in that category of coach. Like there's no way you fucking lose these games, bro. Like there's just no way that you lose these games. So like, yeah, we're going to have to be critical of him because he's supposed to be considered as one of the top tier guys, but he's not performing to top tier level. and he just hasn't been. Like, would you take Shanahan's career or would you take McVay's career? You take McVay's career in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? Would
Yeah.
you take Shanahan's career or would you take LaFleur? That one I might think about, but
It's a
I mean,
toss up.
LaFleur has won a lot of games. LaFleur has been the number one seed a couple of years now. Like, he's had the MVP on his team
He
2 years in a
doesn't
row.
drop from the top.
Yeah, he stays consistently good. And now, even like with them having a dramatically like lower roster, he's going to find ways to win games. So I don't know, man. I think you have to hold them accountable. Like, everything that happens as far as the football operation is on Kyle Shanahan because he's that head guy. Um, and yeah, like, I feel like he's not on the hot seat, but like, I would like to see him, get the tough questions and not be an asshole and take responsibility for what he's done, which has been put out a subpar football product a good majority of his stint.
Yeah, he definitely does have that my shit don't stink attitude at all times. Where like, okay, we get it, Kyle. You are a genius. Like, you do have great schemes, but there is times like this game where you lay such a dud and everyone kind of like looks at you questions like, what was that? And then you get offended of like, oh, well, whatever. Like, I know what I'm doing. Like, like he just has this like I know it all, and some people have that, and maybe he's earned that from running great offenses and doing well in playoffs. But like, we're here now. It's about like, what have you done for me lately? And we see that he hasn't had a good offense in San Francisco ever. Has he had a good
Last year was a good offense. I'll give him that.
But
Like,
it's not like the lead dog of this team. Like, we've always been led by defense. Like, when is Kyle gonna have the Matt Ryan type offense that he had? Like, what that level of productivity? Like, this is what this guy is known for. This is what he's supposed to be, as an expert at offense. And we're not good at offense.
I will give you that. Like, I won't say that he's had shit offense the entire time. There have been flashes where it looks innovative, it looks good, but I don't know what happens, but there is stints throughout this like tenure where it's a defensive led team and it's just a very vanilla offense, and I don't know what it is, but like, we need to kick that shit in gear. If when Trey Lance is in there, this is a team that is primed for a Super Bowl run. That same, standard better apply to when Jimmy G is in the game, because, he's supposed to be this veteran guy that knows how to win games. Like, let's hold Kyle and Jimmy to that same standard moving forward.
Yeah, I think it's just, for me, it's been rare to see the offense and defense like click in the same game. And when's the last time we just got like an easy like blowout win? The defenses looked amazing, the offenses looked amazing. I mean, the Seahawks game, we beat them pretty handedly, but it wasn't like we were the Bills. Like, when have we seen that from Kyle's team?
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like the second he sees like the defense become dominant, he shuts down the offense. Like, all right, we're gonna play it super safe, guys. Like, we're running the ball every time, and we're not gonna make a mistake. Like, we're not gonna attempt anything, and that's what I've seen from him.
Which was what's so weird to me, like, that we didn't like see more running this game. We didn't see more rush plays, which I think they would have worked. That defense was primed for like just pin your ears back. They had Randy Gregory and Bradley Chubb on the same side the majority of the game. Like, why not run the opposite direction? Let's go. Like, hey, those are where there's two best players are. Let's go ahead and go the fucking other way. So I don't know. It's just weird to me because he has been such a let's make this a run first team, and he didn't run the ball. But as a whole, like, you're right, it has been a defense led team. I would really like it to not shift, but at least get somewhat on the same level. Your defense deserves an offense that is going to put up points, especially if they're going to hold other teams to this, like, to winnable games. Like these are games that they could have won.
Yeah, and like just wrapping up my thoughts on Kyle of like what I've always said, and I'm not trying to say Kyle's a bad head coach, but as the seasons go on and the games go on, I do start to question like, is he the guy that's going to get it done with this team and we're going to win a Super Bowl? And that's, I guess you could get nitpicky with that level of like winning. But what I've seen and I've always said about Kyle, when he loses, there's always an excuse. And he always gets a pass of like, well, he had Jimmy G. Oh, he didn't have a good quarterback that year. Jimmy got hurt. Or he had injuries all throughout his roster. And I don't see other head coaches in the league get the pass that Kyle gets. Like Joe Judge had Daniel Jones and he's out. He got fired. Like they would not do that to Kyle Shanahan. You know, if you get what I'm saying, like Brian Dable is now in there and he was just like, yeah, I'm just going to deal with Daniel Jones and we're going to figure it out. Mike McDaniel got Tua, who everyone shit on. Everyone thought Tua was a bad quarterback. They're making fun of Tyreek Hill for saying that he's accurate. And look at them now. And I guess it's just like you kind of deal with the roster that you have and you don't get to make an excuse of like, well, I have this guy. Like, okay, everyone gets who they get. They turned Jalen Hurts into MVP level quarterback right now. Like, what are we doing here? You know?
And I get that, but I also like, let's pump the brakes on that too, because they just made it to the NFC Championship game. He did, turn chicken shit into chicken salad. So like that did happen. But also I get what you're saying. Like, when do we start to see that offense kick up to that next level, And we just haven't like seen an explosive offense.
Yeah, I just don't want to see like if it all crumbles this year when we get 3-4 wins. I already know the narrative is going to be, well, Kyle had to play with Jimmy and, he's going to get a free pass. And then how long does that go? Because next year we're not going to have a rookie quarterback coming in. We're not going to have like a number one draft pick rookie quarterback. We're not going to have a veteran quarterback come in that's worth a bunch of money. We're not going to trade for a star quarterback. So what's going to change?
Yeah.
It's going to be Jimmy or Trey next year. That's about it. All right, this week we have the division rival Los Angeles Rams coming to town to face the 49ers. Always a great matchup between these two teams, the two head coaches, and the two quarterbacks, Stafford and Garoppolo. What are you thinking going just right off the top? What are you thinking about this game?
I think it's pretty crazy that the 49ers opened as favorites against the Rams. I feel like it should have been flipped the other way, especially with the way that last week went or this, past week went. And on top of that, the injuries. But I mean, going into it, this is an important game. Like I said earlier, like this feels very much parallel to last season where it was like, hey, you need to win this game to save your season. It almost feels like that moving forward because if I'm not mistaken, if the 49ers win this game, I believe they, take first place, right?
Yeah, if they win this game, we will be in first place of our division, which is going to be a tough task. But to say that this team who everyone is shitting on right now and saying is not going to be great because of the quarterback situation can be first place next week, that's something we can that'll really give us hope.
Oh yeah, big time, dude. And so we know that, for some reason in this division, it just kind of goes around. Kyle has McVay's number, but loses to Cliff Kingsbury, and McVay beats Kingsbury. Like, it's just so weird how it plays out, and they're always very hardly fought games. But I think moving forward, as long as Kyle can put together a decent run game that Jimmy G can play off of, we'll be fine. But
here's my conspiracy theory. This week, Kyle didn't give a shit about this game. He didn't want to show anything offensively with Jimmy. He wanted to save it all for this Rams game so he can show out against McVay. So this last game, that was just a facade. We're really not that bad. I saw a tweet today that NASA was like they're sending a rocket 14,000 miles per hour to hit a meteor to see if they can move it out of the way in case it was coming towards Earth. This is Kyle Shanahan's NASA rocket game. He's sending everything 14,000 miles per hour at this meteor, and we're going to knock it out of the way, and we're getting into first place. Does that make sense?
That's dumb. All right. But anyways,
I'm trying so hard to give myself faith that this game is winnable by the 49ers after what I saw. And that's just where my mind landed.
It's going to be a tall task, but we know one thing. We know that Matthew Stafford throws picks. We know that Cam Akers has been slow to start this season. We know that Van Jefferson is going to be questionable. So they're kind of running out of weapons here on their end too.
We know that Allen Robinson isn't that great.
Yeah. What was that other receiver? The other small guy? Scraggly.
The other white receiver that's not.
I didn't want. That's I don't see color. I don't know.
Come on. Cole Beasley. He's on the Bucks.
But yeah, I just feel like okay. There's a chance here. We know we're gonna get some chances at some picks. Just because that's Stafford is just like injected into his veins. That's what he loves. So. And our defense is really good. There was no turnovers this week, and I know that they were super disappointed at that they were like, hey, you know what? That's our job, is to get turnovers and create opportunities for our offense. We're going to do that next week. And so I think they're going to be highly motivated moving forward, even if they aren't going to be at 100% capacity. I think whoever is on the field is going to be shooting for those picks. So we're going to have some opportunity there. I think that's going to be like a major factor. We're going to have to win that turnover battle. We can't have Jimmy G fumbling the ball. We can't have him having safeties. We can't have him throwing picks.
Yeah, and as much as I dump on Jimmy G, he is kind of a guy that plays up to the competition in certain situations. Like last season, obviously, we saw him play pretty well for most of these like important games. And this is a team that he really steps it up for. And I'm hoping that last week was just a one-time thing this year of like him looking that bad to where he doesn't look playable, which is not a lot to say. I think he's going to be better, but is he going to be that bad all year is really my question. Like, what are we expecting from him going forward? Did he fall off that hard? Is he done? Or is he going to be the guy that pulls it back together and does make a mistake here and there, but can scrape by in some important games?
And I think too, like, not to give him an out, but I think this is a classic like Shane Falco situation where he was in quicksand. You have one thing go wrong and it snowballs and it snowballs and it snowballs and you just can't get out of it. I think that was like, but Jimmy is very good at, putting that in a box and throwing that box away. So now it's like, hey, moving forward next season, goddamn. But next week is a whole new game. Let's do it. I think we've seen he's not that type of dude to like let it linger. So hopefully it is a new Jimmy Garoppolo rolling out.
I don't think he let it linger 5 seconds after that final whistle, guy.
Oh, no.
He was smiling. He was laughing on the field immediately.
Yeah. So I think, again, it's a new day. I think he's going to, look a lot better. Hopefully Kyle runs these running backs, dude. Like, I'm excited to see what Jordan Mason can do. I'm excited what he can do with Marlon Mack. Like, let these guys cook a little bit. Let's get the run game going, because we already know that the line is going to be much better at run blocking than pass blocking. So let's give him a chance out there, dude.
Yeah, nothing downfield is going to really, I have no hope for our downfield passing game anymore. So let's
No.
just run the ball. Let's run it 100 times a game. I don't care how many times we have to run the ball. Uh, Jordan Mason, get him going. Let's just try it. Marlon Mack, let's see what he has. Debo out of the backfield. Even put Ayuk in the backfield at this point because he's not going to get much downfield from Jimmy. And Danny Gray, you might as well just sit on the bench the rest of the year because we're not getting anything out of him with Jimmy on the field. I feel so bad for Danny Gray once Trey Lance went down, but that's where we're at going forward. Debo, I would say whatever his over under is on rushing yards this week, hit that over because he's going to run the ball this week a lot.
Man. And I would like, wouldn't you feel good if you had Danny Gray in the backfield run that wheel route against the linebacker? But I think it's a dead giveaway. Like he's not obviously not going to run the ball between the tackles. But like, let's find some way to get this guy involved, even if it's on an end around. Like, let's do that. But
and
I would really like
Kyle's not going to put someone new on the field. He's not going to do it.
Oh my God, he's so stubborn, bro. But yeah, I think those are the ways that the 49ers are going to win the turnover battle, run the rock, and then, okay, let's try to take the top off this and throw it 15 yards.
You think Kyle's a guy that orders the same exact thing every single day from Starbucks?
I 100% believe that.
He's just like, and then he can taste when it's like something different. He's like, did you put only 2 shots of cream in this? Like, not 3?
I don't know about that.
I'm going to say after watching this last game, I'm not looking forward to this next game because I'm worried that it's going to be more of the same with this offense. But Kyle has done well against McVay. Jimmy will have another week with the offense. Hopefully we get a little bit healthier all around and we do put up a good fight and we win this game. We find a way to win this game and that just completely 180s our season.
Oh yeah. I don't think the Rams are as good as they were last season though. Like I think that like there's a chance to just knock them off, dude. Like they got their ass beat against the Bills, right? They come back and barely beat the Falcons. Then they have this game where if Kyler Murray has like shows some type of urgency, they might win this game, but like it's just poorly played, poorly coached, I guess. Like, but they end up getting that dub. I think the 49ers can go out there and win this game. It's going to be a tough game as per usual, but I think it's doable, you know?
The thing, what I've seen from what I've watched the Rams, which is going to be the key every game for the 49ers, the Rams offensive line isn't as good this year. And if our defensive line, which is great, can just destroy their offensive game plan with our rushing, then we have a chance. That's going to be every week. If our defensive line can dominate the way they dominate, we always have a chance. And it's up to Jimmy just not to fuck that chance up with 3 turnovers, but our defense will keep us in the game. So Mike Silver said that the Broncos won because of late game brilliance by Russell Wilson. And it really exposed the 49ers that have a ferocious defense, not quite good enough to carry them for an entire game. Our defense isn't good enough to carry for an entire game.
That's an unfair assessment. That is like super unfair because the offense didn't back them up. Realistically, the Broncos only scored 9 points. You know what I mean? And to say that you can't win because your defense held the other team to 9 points ridiculous. And you gave up another 2 points on a safety is pretty dumb. Yeah, they didn't have any turnovers, but they were out on that field so much because the 49ers were just 3 and out. It was so to say that's pretty ridiculous, dude.
Watching that defense, I didn't feel any time that they were struggling or they didn't do a great job. I thought they did amazing in this game by holding it to such a low scoring game. And to say that, well, they couldn't carry them to the finish line. Like, fuck you. Like the defense isn't supposed to carry us to wins. The defense is supposed to like hold us in there and the offense will finish the job because the defense can't score. Like the offense has to score for us to win, right?
Yes. That's the whole point of it. Like, and that's again, like what you were saying, like, when is the offense going to take responsibility for this? When is the offense going to actually put some points on the board? Like, it's just like, in baseball, when a pitcher is throwing like a shutout game and they just don't have the bats to go at it and they end up losing. Like,
You're
you can't.
talking about the San Francisco Giants all year right
Dang,
now.
no, I was talking about I believe it was the Cincinnati Reds. You see that they threw a no hitter, but still lost the game this season.
Yeah.
But anyways, like that's exactly like what's going on here. You're saying like, oh, like they didn't carry us to it. Well, the 49ers didn't score any points. What are you talking about, bruh?
Yeah, like how much more do you want them to carry? Like the defense literally held them to 9 points and the offense had 10. So what more do you want from them?
Yeah,
They basically won the game if Jimmy doesn't get a safety. If the offense doesn't hand the other team the ball three
2 points.
times and give them 2 points, the defense would have easily carried completely. So
Yeah.
it's just a ridiculous statement to defend. I feel it's a bad take to defend Jimmy and Kyle. Like you can say that they did a bad job. It's okay. It's okay to criticize them and still say that Kyle is a great head coach. And like I'm not like I'm criticizing Kyle and I'm saying like questioning his actions and his decisions. But at the same time, I'm like, he's not on the hot seat. I don't think he should be fired right now. We can critique these guys and still fully believe in them if they do well, you know?
Yeah. And that's again like what you talk about when you're comparing Kyle to the top echelon of NFL coaches. You know what I mean? It's not saying he's a bum or anything. It's but like you're at a different standard than like other guys because you should be at that standard. Like you're paid like that. You are looked at like that. That's who you are compared to. Okay.
But yeah, wrapping up the Rams preview with 49ers, it's tough for me to say that the 49ers win this game right now. Just from what I saw, recency bias. I don't know. Recency seeing.
Yeah, it's bias.
Not bias. Is it bias?
Yes, because you've seen that and it's recent in your mind, so you think it's going to happen again. That's recency bias.
Damn. I think I need to give my journalism degree back.
Get your dumbass.
But yeah, recency bias from what what I've seen, I don't believe in this team to beat the Rams right now, but I can see it happening with an amazing performance from our defensive line and a couple interceptions. That'll just really help our offense. But I need to see the offense score. I need to see them finish drives once in a while. Even just get a field goal, my guy. Just get a field goal at least. But what are your thoughts on our chances for this game?
I think the defense has too many dogs. And I think because they are putting a lot of the blame on themselves, which they shouldn't, and they are saying, hey, we didn't get the turnovers that we needed. I think it's going to be a pretty turnover heavy game coming from Stafford. So I think just with that, I'm going to go ahead and say the 49ers win. It's going to be a very, very, tough road, but I think they get the dub.
All right. Hear me out. You don't think you're giving a little hometown favoritism on that one, on this pick?
I mean, if you look at it, Kyle Shanahan has outcoached McVay for some reason for a good majority of his stint here in San Francisco. And then you look at, okay, for some reason, they are really good at just running at Aaron Donald and making him a non-factor. They're going to have a really tough time throwing the ball, but Jimmy doesn't we don't need that from Jimmy. We just need solid run game. What is concerning is that Kyle doesn't feel comfortable running it with Jordan Mason or with Marlon Mack. If he can get his head out of his fucking ass and let them run the ball, I feel good about them putting up at least enough points where the defense could then carry it the whole way.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it going that way. Right now, I think I'm 50-50. Like, I'm starting to lose steam on this 49ers team, and I just need to see the offense put it together a little bit, and then I'll be back on board. But as far as right now, I can't really lean on them to get a win, you know? And maybe that makes me a bad 49ers fan, but right now I'm just thinking that the Rams look better. But that could all change after this week. So we'll see. That's why you play the games.
Yep.
All right. Anything else for you today?
I think I'm good. Other than that, like if you do like this, go ahead and hit that like button. Write a review on any of the streaming services. It really helps us. It just overall, like just keep rocking with this, guys.
Check out our video coming at the end of this week for our 49ers Diamond Pick of the Week. Help you place your bets on the 49ers this week.
We might not be doing that. We might have to switch it up because if these motherfuckers are just so inconsistent, we might have to do something else.
We'll get into it.
We'll talk about it later.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.